Hi, my name's Pat Sanford and I'm the owner of Victorian Elegance. I'm an artist, multi-medium artist. I do a lot of other things, but my niche is jewelry now because I like the history of what I'm using to make it with. I've been in with jewelry and making it since 1995. I've had my business. I do use a lot of vintage pieces, like for instance, this piece here, the chain is from a flea market that has been in existence since the late 1700s. And they still have pieces, believe it or not, from there. This right here finding was from there. These two buttons were handmade in Czech. Used to be Czechoslovakia. And the reason why it's so hard to get these still is because they made their glass with their ash from people's fireplaces or where they were burning at the glass factory and the natural quartz that's in there. So like this set right here would go together because there's no way I'm going to be able to find these again for a customer. Now the necklace I have on, I can't take credit for these beads and these other beads and the earrings. They're handmade by an artist, a well-known artist in the beading field. She's in a lot of the bead magazines. She's Clue, Karen Lewis from Spirited Path Beads up in Tehachapi. So I do make these. They're not vintage, but you've got the sterling silver overlay going on, and they do make these in different colors. I'm trying to get a amethyst or a purple going on, and this one's already sold, girl. And then I make these bracelets. This piece is from Austria, and it was made back in the 1900s. I know they're coming back with them now, but you can usually tell by the shine if they're old. And this one was from a Bohemian artist in like 1930s, and then the cuff on it is from Italy, and it's from 1940s. Now we have a few others here. I do carry some new things that aren't jewelry. This is a purse. It's all hand beaded. This right here was hand poured over in Italy. It's the clasp that goes on it. This is silk. And these are all seed beads, and there's not a bad price on these. I try to keep my prices that I buy low so I can give you better, cheaper, like my scarves. I have many new scarves I've started. Towards Christmas I will have the ones that are the Persia cashmere, which those are from the goats in the hills of the Himalayas, and the family that does that has been in existence and doing this for 200 years. Now, let me see if when we're talking about Czech, I make some necklaces that look like this. They don't, normally have to have different colors. This is an actual necklace from over there in Czechoslovakia, in Czech. These are handmade. These were found, a woman bought a couple of storefronts, wanted to do some expanding, so they were tearing out walls. They found necklaces in the walls wrapped up in paper, newspapers from the 1920s and 30s. They found down in the basement when they were going over to the other side. I don't know what you call it, but it's a big chest, huge, and it was all full of necklaces and all the earrings and everything else, and they were by well-known artists from the area. Sometimes one of these pieces would be used to buy a human's life away from the Nazis. So when this find came along, when she had stuff that wasn't museum quality, I asked if I could get or buy or bid on small glass pieces where a finding had maybe rotted and it was just the stones left. I didn't want to see any of that go in the trash or being melted down. So I've been buying them up and then I turn them into my own design. This piece here, the green glass right here, is a Coco Chanel stone, and so is this that I'm wearing, and so is this piece. What happened in the 1930s, Coco Chanel had heard that Hitler was on his way. So what I was told when I bought these from bead vendors in the 1980s, their parents that owned the warehouses where all these wares were stored were inherited. And they wanted to tear down the warehouses, and the kids were just going to sell them. Well, when they started finding the stuff that was inside there that was people had since pre-World War II, hadn't paid on, but they knew they were well-known artists, they just didn't know who to go to. They finally got the okays from whoever they could to start selling these off, because Coco Chanel started out with the jewelry making. And then when she left all this glass and finding over there in Europe, she came over to the United States, and that is when she started with her fashion designs, her cosmetics, and her perfumes. So some of these things that I have, you might be interested, because if you're buying it for your mom or you're buying it for yourself and you're a mom, you can always use it to give to your daughters or your sons for an inheritance. I mean, they're not worth a fortune probably, but it's just nice to have a piece of history. This is a piece from Austria, not Czech, and it is, these are fire stone topaz. I don't know if the light can catch those, but it's called Mystic Rainbow Topaz. This whole set is sterling silver, 0.925 sterling silver overlay, and the stones are real gems. And my prices are pretty reasonable. I'm told they're cheaper than Macy's or somebody. And here's a ring, for instance, that would go with the set. And this is sterling silver overlay. Let me see. It is sterling silver. It's 0.92, and the size is size 9, but it's been antiqued to make the stone come out more. Let's see here. Let me see if I have. Oh. Then I have pieces like this that Swarovski crystals, they're discontinued. And David, actually, some of these were his ideas of the colors that he wanted to choose. He is the man who, when the automobile first came out, he showed the automobile companies how they could make the headlights for the cars, and that they could illuminate and keep people from getting killed on the road with their, Model T Fords or whatever. Okay, so those are a piece of history also. So this right here, these are Bohemian buttons also. They're Bohemian because they liked a lot of different colors in their stuff. It wasn't just, straight, okay, these should be just turquoise or whatever. The people of Czech really like a lot of color. When you think of Czech, think of gypsy when you think Bohemian. Then this piece I also have, which they're getting very, very hard to find, are my flowers from Austria. They're from a village there in Swarovski. Actually, that is a business in a little town, a hamlet, and some of the people that work there are the grandchildren or great-grandchildren of the people who came before them. And these flowers they used to make also, and these little bitty ones. So these are old also. A lot about the people, sometimes I can find, I had a little old lady tell me one time about hand-cut crystal, and she said her great-grandfather used to do that in the 20s and the 30s for Swarovski, and the whole little village just loved being a part of this. And she said what's so sad is there's no way they can reproduce these crystals that had been cut for all of this stuff, because if they were handmade, then there's no one to teach you how to cut a crystal now off of a hand, and they can't even find the parts for the machines that the artists used. In fact, I was talking to a woman who went over there about 4 months ago, and she said one of those machines that I'd bought a necklace from you, she said was in the front window of this little hamlet, and she said the whole thing is they don't have the pieces for the machines anymore. They'd have to find those, and then they'd have to find somebody that could actually do it and teach it, which they don't have. So if I put something and I say it's rare, 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 it's rare, rare, rare. And if you happen to buy a pair of earrings, and you can't buy the necklace right away, they do have a layaway here. And I just like to think that if you buy, I've had so many people that have bought the earrings or bought the necklace and not the earrings, and then they come back and want it, and I've told them it's real hard to find a replacement for that. So okay, so if you need something special or unique for a loved one, come and look us up over here. We're at the Mercantile at the Lancaster Market Center, and I'm Pat Sanford. My business is Victorian Elegance. Thank you.